Hello there guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I will be doing something different from my usual videos. I will be looking at a famous hadrosaur dinosaur, Edmontosaurus, and see if it could survive in North America during the Ice Age. Yes, this will be my first ever video on that topic, inspired by the many could this animal and could that animal survive a certain time and location videos by various YouTubers. Anyway, let's get into this scenario.
Hey! What is this stuff?
Now, let's get into details for the Edmontosaurus, because we are not going to be straight up place the Edmontosaurus in an icy cold tundra.
Well, this sucks.
Because that's basically a death sentence, and that wouldn't be an interesting video. Anyway, let's get into an overview.
I wish I could go to the wild.
Edmontosaurus is a genus of hadrosaur dinosaur that lived in what is now North America during the late Cretaceous period, more specifically around 73 and 66 million years ago, during the Campanian and the Maastrichtian stages. The areas it preferred to live in were coasts and coastal plains, such as a bayou setting similar to the modern-day Louisiana coastal plain environment. Due to that reason, we will be placing Edmontosaurus in Florida during the early Pleistocene epoch. The reason I'm putting these dinosaurs there is due to Florida during the time was quite similar to the natural Cretaceous habitat of Edmontosaurus, and was a home to many varieties of plants. Even its preferred food such as leaves, shoots, and occasionally horsetails were present there. Interestingly, I will be placing both species of Edmontosaurus, E. annectans, and E. regalis, to aid in the two species interbreeding to help better survive in a new environment of the Cenozoic era. Now, let's see the environment to see how Edmontosaurus could survive and adapt in this Florida ecosystem during the Ice Age. During the Ice Age of the Pleistocene epoch, Florida was significantly larger and had a cooler, drier climate, supporting diverse megafauna and, during the very latest Pleistocene, early human inhabitants. So, Edmontosaurus is very likely to survive in Florida during the Pleistocene. Heck, they might even thrive in it. As such, due to these factors, these massive animals will do very well in their new environment, and I'll be giving them a score of 9 out of 10.
Ew, what's that? Hey, Gruff, what's it look like?
Now, Edmontosaurus's diet primarily consisted of conifer needles and twigs, as well as broad-leaf tree twigs, and numerous small seeds or fruits. While the Ice Age Florida environment had open woodlands, grasslands, and swamps, which means that there will be plenty of plants for the Edmontosaurus to exploit in this area. Speaking of grasslands, this is a new challenge for the Edmontosaurus, as this habitat is unfamiliar to a Mesozoic dinosaur. Yes, grass did evolve during the Cretaceous period, but it was mostly restricted to India, and almost certainly did not form vast grasslands as seen in outdated documentaries, such as Dinosaur Planet. However, I do believe that Edmontosaurus could possibly eat grass when given a chance, as its batteries of teeth and its beak were capable of grinding tough vegetation. As such, I think it is possible that Edmontosaurus could slowly adapt to eat this abundant plant group, or at least slowly adapt to become more accommodated with grass. But if they don't want to eat grass, they could always eat the leaves and twigs of swamps and forests, which are readily available for these animals, as well as occasionally eat horsetails, bark, shrubs, fruits, seeds, and even, for protein reasons, insect larvae. For this reason, Edmontosaurus will do extremely well in this new environment, with plenty of available food options for the hadrosaur to feast on, as well as there being abundant lakes and rivers, which are enough to sustain the massive Edmontosaurus. As such, I'm giving the Edmontosaurus the food availability score of 8 out of 10. However, competition is a very different story entirely for this animal. Edmontosaurus had a lot of competition back in the Cretaceous period, since they had to live alongside the large ceratopsians, ankylosaurs, and other hadrosaurs. Can the Ice Age mammals keep up with the Edmontosaurus? Well, possibly, but I think that only a few mammals would actually pose a great threat to Edmontosaurus. Right, let's get the smaller herbivores out of the way, such as camels, llamas, shrub oxen, glyptodonts, and even my favorite modern mammals, tapirs, would not pose a risk, competition-wise. All these mammals listed are relatively small and pale in comparison to an average 5.6 metric ton Edmontosaurus, with exceptionally large specimens of Eanectons, measuring around 15 meters, or 49 feet, long and weighing around 15.9 metric tons, or 17.5 short tons. However, two groups of mammals were present in that habitat during the Pleistocene, and these were proboscideans and ground sloths. Proboscideans included the American mastodon and the Columbian mammoth, which were quite social, massive animals, and the ground sloths included Ematherium, the Pan-American giant ground sloth, which was almost as big as Megatherium, the South American giant ground sloth, or comparable in size to a modern African elephant. These mammals will pose a major risk to the Edmontosaurus. Not only would they be massive and dangerous animals that could compete with Edmontosaurus for food, but the proboscideans in particular, being very intelligent and have massive tusks to gore any would-be threats and competitors. As such, Edmontosaurus will almost certainly try to avoid the angry elephants and relatives. But, as long as they keep out of each other's territory and stay far away from each other, I think that Edmontosaurus would do just fine in dealing with very large mammals, and I'm giving them a competition score of 6 out of 10. However, we are not done yet, as we will be looking on how the Ice Age predators will affect Edmontosaurus.
I was right in the middle of a reptile zoo.
Edmontosaurus, when fully grown, had a few major natural predators back in the Cretaceous period, such as Tyrannosaurus, Albertosaurus, and Daspletosaurus, while baby and juvenile Edmontosaurus had to deal with the smaller predators such as dromaeosaurs like Saur or Nitholestes. Can the Ice Age predators keep up with Edmontosaurus though? Well, just to keep things absolutely short.
Of course.
No. You see, a fully grown Edmontosaurus was super big, at around 6.2 short tons at average weight, making it super difficult for all of the mammalian carnivores of Ice Age Florida to handle. Well, almost all of them. There's only 3 predators that could be able to hunt Edmontosaurus, one when the Edmontosaurus is fully grown, and these are the early Pleistocene terror bird, Titanes, the giant short-faced bear, Arctodus, and the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon. While Arctodus and Titanes would hunt the juvenile Edmontosaurus, only Smilodon would be capable of hunting Edmontosaurus, due to being a lion-sized or tiger-sized cat that lived in a wolf-like pack structure, using its strong, robust body to tackle a much larger animal, and using its saber fangs to pierce into the Edmontosaurus's windpipe, thus bringing it down. Even so, these Ice Age predators would be nowhere as effective at hunting hadrosaurs as the tyrannosaurs did, so the Edmontosaurus would be able to fend off almost any predator as an adult, that is until humans would eventually arrive in North America. Because of this, I'm giving Edmontosaurus a predator score of 7 out of 10.
The winner is...
The overall survival score for Edmontosaurus, when combined all together, is 7.9 out of 10, since Edmontosaurus will do extremely great in Florida during the Ice Age, essentially a home away from home. However, this would be a boring video if I just end it off here, so let's go to my favorite subject for these survival assessment videos, the speculative evolution.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
As a result of Edmontosaurus being brought up to Florida during the early Pleistocene, or around 2.4 million years ago, they have had some ecological impact and become part of the ecosystem. Due to their presence, Edmontosaurus spread and fertilized the seeds of forest plants, thus helping the Titanes terror birds survive into the much later Pleistocene, rather than dying out 1.8 million years ago. Aside from that, Edmontosaurus was able to niche partition with ground sloths and proboscideans. After a while, 3 species of Edmontosaurus descendants have evolved, having adapted to fill 3 different ecological niches. One of these is Uninligosaurus brevis, or the short half-bird lizard, which is a rather small hadrosaur, with a length of 4.5 meters, or 15 feet, and weighing between 514 and 584 kilograms, or 1,133 and 1,287 pounds. It is a small animal, due to having adapted to live in dense forests across southeastern United States. Despite this small size, It is a highly aggressive animal, being capable of using its serrated beak and strong jaws to fight off most predators such as wolves, big cats, and most bear species, and is even known to be territorial towards most herbivores. It is adapted to feed on ferns, cycads, shrubs, and nuts, being able to niche partition with deer. When humans found this animal, they have made stories of a reptilian beaked creature that kills without mercy in many Native American legends. Today, the species is classed as near threatened by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, due to some habitat loss and historical overhunting practices of the 1800s. Thankfully, the species is on the path of fully recovering, due to successful conservation efforts and habitat restoration projects. Although hunting this species is illegal in most states, some hunters can hunt it if they have a permit and if it is legal in that state. The second species of Edmontosaurus descendant is Dracohadrus imperator, or the imperial bulky dragon, which is the most common hadrosaur alive today, being found across Mexico and most of the mainland United States. At up to 7 meters, or 23 feet, in length and around 2 to 4 metric tons, or 2.2 to 4.4 short tons, in weight, it is a large animal capable of feeding on a greater variety of plants than its Cretaceous ancestors, allowing it to live in almost every habitat except deserts or tundra. Because of this hadrosaur's presence, the Titanese terror bird has survived into modern times as a bulkier descendant. Titanese trossus, which is native to much of Mexico and the southern half of the United States, and is an almost 1-ton bird capable of hunting any animal the size of or smaller than itself, including Dracohadrus juveniles. Dracohadrus is more similar in appearance to the extinct Maiasaura, and is about as social as one, to help it survive in a mammal-dominant world. When humans discovered Dracohadrus during the late Pleistocene, they quickly found ways to hunt this large herbivore for thousands of years. Despite this, they learned to only hunt what they needed to survive, so they're able to peacefully coexist with these hadrosaurs until the Europeans arrived in the 1400s. Since then, Dracohadrus has become a common animal in captivity, even in farmlands as alternatives to cattle, especially in both rough terrain and in forested environments. The third and final Edmontosaurus descendant featured is a rather unique animal, the Ceratosaurus precurvicornis, or the horned cow lizard with a forward curving horn. Ceratosaurus resembles a cross between a hadrosaur, a ceratopsian, and a mythical dragon, and is an omnivore with carnivorous tendencies unlike any other hadrosaur, due to abundant prey animals such as bison, shrub oxen, mastodons, mammoths, and even other hadrosaurs. With the length of 8 meters, or 26.2 feet, long, and a weight of 4 metric tons, or 4.4 short tons, this uniquely predatory hadrosaur is a force to be reckoned with its sharp, hook-like beak for piercing into the thick hide of large mammals and dinosaurs. Unlike other hadrosaurs, it is a solitary animal, as to avoid killing off its natural prey items, and it is able to scare off other predators from their kills. Ceratosaurus never had a positive relationship with humans, due to the dinosaur's predatory tendencies and its territorial nature. As such, myths of this animal as a demonic beast created by evil was made, as cautionary tales to help keep children well behaved. In recent times, Ceratosaurus is classed as endangered, due to habitat loss and persecution. However, it is now a protected species, as it is just an animal, and it aids in keeping other hadrosaur populations in check. Anyway, these are the 3 Edmontosaurus descendants. I'm sure there are other species of hadrosaurs that could evolve from Edmontosaurus, but I'm only featuring 3, so the video wouldn't take too long. What do you think would Edmontosaurus evolve into? Please let me know down in the comments below, and I will be seeing you next time.